everyone. So this is my level 1 Pilates class. I've already posted a warm-up video, which is a standing warm-up similar to the ones I do in my yoga and my Pilates classes. And what I'd like you to do is to do that warm-up before you join me for this mat work class, because I'm going to go straight into some moves down on the floor with this class. I'm using a yoga mat because I've got one. If you don't have a yoga mat, what I'd suggest you do is get a nice thick blanket that you can fold and lie underneath your back so you feel comfortable. Use 2 or 3 if you want to. Make sure you do feel nice and comfortable. And because you may not have yoga props, I've got a few suggestions that maybe you could use at home instead of blocks and straps and things like that. So what I've done is I've got myself a couple of cushions here, which I might call upon later to use. A couple of comfy cushions, and I've got myself a couple of towels. This one's a really big one. It's a big sort of beach towel. This is a slightly smaller beach towel. And this one I'm going to roll up later on and help myself, rather like using a ball when I want to move my spine backwards when I'm seated, so I can support myself with that. So I've got that handy for later. And I've got this one here, which is a little bit smaller, but I've made it into a kind of block. So for those of us who want to rest our head on a block, then we could use that instead. That'll do the job. Okay, so you'd have that up at the top of your mat ready to go. So I'm just going to move my stuff out of the way. The only other things that I've got here, because you may not have resistance bands at home, if you have, use them, great. But if not, you could use something like just a belt. That would be fine. Or something like a scarf, a nice long, it's quite a long scarf, but it's certainly long enough to hold my leg into a hamstring stretch. So I'm sure most of us have got one of these in the wardrobe somewhere. So let's get started. I'm going to come down onto our backs into a neutral position. So let's just check our alignment before we do anything else. We want to make sure that we've got a slight nod down on the chin towards the throat. It's only subtle because you want to feel the back of your neck is nice and long, and you want to feel your face is parallel to the floor. Now, if without a block or without a support from a towel, you feel rather like this, that your chin's poking up into the air, it's to do with the shape of your upper back. If you can't get the chin to come down and lengthen through the back of the neck, just pop your towel or your block in behind your head, and hopefully that will help you to drop the chin slightly down. Shoulders. Let's tuck the shoulder blades in towards the spine slightly so we feel broader across the chest. Then take the hands down to the pelvis, pubic bone, hip bones, and we just want to feel that they're level with each other. And then our heels, way down there, they're in line with our sit bones. So there'll be many occasions during this little class where we'll start from this position, a neutral base position. I'm going to use my core. I'm going to zip up from pubic bone to navel and draw my navel lightly in towards my spine. And then I'm going to let the back of my waist flatten down into the ground so I can lift my tailbone slightly. And then as I take a breath in through my nose, I'm going to just release that. So I'm on the tailbone, and I almost feel I could get a couple of hands under the back of my waist. Now as I breathe out through my lips, I'm going to let the back flatten and feel a bit longer, and the tailbone's rising. Yeah, some abdominal strengthening going on here too. And then lengthen down into the tailbone so it comes to the floor and you can feel the back of your waist slightly lifted. So let's do that a few more times, just beginning to warm up the lumbar spine, feeling the flatness here as we exhale through the mouth, and the slightly lifted feeling behind the waist when we breathe in through the nose. Let's do that 3 more times. Breathing out, breathing in, one last time, breathing out to flatten, and this time just come back to your centre. Good. Let's take our arms up into the air so they're directly above our shoulders, and with our arms mirror imaging each other, let's move both arms outwards and downwards, and then inwards and upwards. So we're circling slowly. So you can feel a circular movement happening in your shoulder joint. If you've got any shoulder issues and you need to bend your elbows slightly perhaps, feel free. You can take your arms further back if you want to. But if you do that, can you try to stop your upper back lifting? Just keep it still and really feel yourself moving in the shoulder joint. Let's go the other way. So take the hands down, out and back up. I'm having fun with my curtains here, as you can see. A couple more camera angles. Okay, so we're going to lift the right arm and stretch and relax down. Then lift the left arm, breathe in, stretch, exhale, drop. Your arms are a bit bendy now, so breathe in, lift the shoulder blade, exhale, drop. Breathe in, lift the shoulder blade, exhale, drop. So you're beginning to feel a slight twist happening with the upper part of your spine. It's quite subtle. And you want to really let go of this shoulder so it plops down on your exhale. So reach up and breathe in, exhale and drop. I'm lightly drawing my navel into my spine as I do this because I don't want my hips to move. I'm trying to move with the upper part of my body, so I'm going to keep the navel drawn to the spine so the hips stay in position. Let's do that twice more. Lifting up and releasing, and again coming up and releasing. Good. Bring your right knee in towards your chest and just lengthen your left leg away. If you need to keep a bit of a bend in your knee for comfort, then do. I'm just going to draw this knee in towards me, and then I'm just going to draw a few little circles round in one direction and then back the other way. Good. Slide that leg away and bring the other one in, and then give that one a hug in towards you. And when it starts to feel a little bit easier to hold the leg in this position, just some gentle circles in one direction and then in the other. Good. So, we come back to our base position, both knees bent, heels in line with sit bones, pubic bone level with hip bones, zipping up from pubic bone to navel, drawing the navel to the spine, drawing the shoulder blades a little tiny bit closer and just nodding down on the chin, ready to go. So, as I reach one of my legs away from me and put my heel down, I'm taking the opposite arm straight back behind me. And then I'm going to breathe in and return. Now I'm going to use the other arm and leg. So I'm going to breathe out and reach out and breathe in and come back in. So think of breathing out through your mouth as you reach out and breathing in through your nose as you come back in again. So breathe out and reach out, breathe in and come back in. Now, keep your navel drawn to your spine with that slight scooping feeling in your lower tummy, and use that to focus on keeping your hips really still. So you're moving your leg away from the hips, but that's not causing any movement in the hips. They're not rocking and rolling. Now, when you take your arm back, you might find that your shoulder blade wants to start sliding up and down the floor. You might find your upper back wants to have a bit of a wriggle. You might even find that that little gap behind your waist wants to become more excessive and start arching. See if you can avoid all those things and keep it really still across the shoulder girdle and move your arm in the shoulder joint. Good. And we'll do that 2 more times. Breathing out as we reach out, lovely and still through the whole of the trunk, and just moving those arms and legs. Breathing out and reaching out. I'm just going to do 1 more. Good. Okay. So I'm going to come into little abdominal curls now, little crunches, and we've got some options here. We can, if we feel comfortable to do this, rest our fingertips at the sides of our temples and slide the ribs to the hips as we zip up the belly and return. However, for those of us who find it uncomfortable, this is something we do in class with the band. You can just make a little bit of a platform, sort of soft platform out of your scarf, and hold it tight either side. So you're holding it on either side of your head. Your fingers are really quite close. And then as you slide the ribs to the hips, you're just going to gently pull your elbows outwards so the scarf starts to feel quite taut, and then breathe in as you come back down. So zip up the belly and exhale through your mouth and breathe in through your nose as you return. So you're just slightly nodding back the chin to keep the neck long. And you've either got your scarf, or your band if you have one, or you've got your fingertips resting by your temples. So we're going to exhale through the mouth and breathe in through the nose. Let's do 6 more. Try to keep your elbows back. It'll help you see the video for a start, but we don't want to sort of make a pair of horse's blinkers with our elbows there. Maybe 2 more, possibly. And rest. Good. Have a big full body stretch. Focus on stretching the abdominal muscles here. So reach above you with your fingertips and down through your toes, feeling longer through the abdominal region. And then just bring yourself back in and give your knees. I'm not hugging them, I'm just going to rest my hands on my knees. So you can see my arms are quite long, I'm not pulling in. This is just bringing my back into a nice, comfortable position. Good. Okay. Just take a little roll from side to side with your head. Nice and slow and steady. And then come back to the centre. Okay, going to look at imprinting the spine. So that little gap behind the waist, we're going to find a little bit of length through there. So we're going to lift one leg up to a tabletop, toes are soft, knees above the hip, 90 degrees here, 90 degrees there. Now, behind your waist, I want you to very subtly press down. And then, as you zip up your tummy and draw in your navel, lift up your other leg. So you rather look like you've got both of your heels resting on a low table. You're feeling a little tiny weeny bit of pressure through the back of your waist, and your lower abdominals are feeling nice and strong. Good. Let's bring the legs down. So this is something you could do if you wanted to keep this quite low. Okay, you can lift up one leg, imprint your spine, deepen your waist that is, lift up the other leg, and then you put the first leg down, and then you put the second leg down. So let the other leg go first this time. So lift that one up, deepen behind the waist into imprint position, and lift up. So you've got both legs lifted, and then you start putting the first leg that lifted down, and the second. Good, so if you'd like to carry on with that, that's a little more gentle than what I'm going to suggest we do now. Please feel free to continue with that. Or bring one leg up to the tabletop position, imprint your spine like you're just gently easing the vertebrae behind your waist down into some lovely soft sand. And then, with the legs keeping the bend behind the knee, one at a time we're going to drop the toes towards the ground and come back up. Now as this starts to get a bit stronger, because we're holding our legs in this position for quite a while now, we really do need to use the core. So we need to feel that scooping feeling in the lower tummy and the navel drawing in towards the spine. We also need to keep the imprint behind the waist, because as the legs begin to get heavier, well, they don't get heavier, but we feel like they do, you might find to compensate for their weight, your waist wants to start arching away from the ground. So really try to stop that happening. Keep that imprint sensation going. Now, you can join the arms in like we did a moment or two ago, if you like. So as your leg drops, take the opposite arm back and try to think of what we were thinking of before. Do you know what I said about keeping the shoulders really still, keeping the upper back really still? Breathing out as we move out from the centre, and breathing in as we move back into our neutral position. Good. Breathing out and breathing in. Should we do 6 more? So exhale and inhale. So just 4 more. And please, if I suggest a number that we're going to do and that feels a little bit too much, do less. That's fine. Have a breather, especially if you feel like you're losing the control. Don't want to do that. Good. Excellent. So let's put both feet down on the ground. Now, bring your knees towards me and take both of your arms away from me and look at your arms. And then slowly come to the centre, take a breath, and do the reverse. So now we're looking towards each other and the arm is across the chest as both arms come towards me. Good. So breathe in through the middle. Have a look at your arm, so you're looking away from me now. And then breathe in and come to the centre and exhale, and you're looking back towards me again. Good. Let's do that a couple more times. And come back into the middle. Lovely. Okay, we're going to do the one leg circle. So some of us might prefer to just lift our leg and work with the leg on its own. Okay, if you need to have a little bend in your knee, you can, that's okay. If you're doing this, you've got the option with the leg you're not using for it to be bent or straight. So I'll let you choose. And if you're going without any help and without any scarf to help you, try to do it with the backs of your hands on your floor, so you're not pushing down into the hands to keep your hips nice and still. So with the scarf, you can put it round, or a belt, yeah? Scarves are quite good because they kind of stick to your socks and keep you in position. So we're just going to do 6 circles in each direction. So I'm going to zip up, draw in my navel, and I'm going to use my core to keep my hips still, okay? So I'm going to take that leg slightly across me, then downwards, then out to the side and back up to the top. We'll do 5 more. So slightly across, downwards, out to the side and back up. Now you might find as you swing your leg towards me that you want to roll your hips. So that's when you really need to use your core. I'm just going to do about 3 more. Breathe out as you move the leg away from you, and breathe in when you ask it to come back up again. I'm just going to do 1 more here. There's a little bit of hamstring stretch at the top there. Just there. Good. We're going the other way, so make sure you've got your tummy zipped up, navel drawn to spine, and then you take your leg outwards, slightly across, and back up to breathe in. So breathe out to start, breathe in to come round and up. 4 more times. Breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and if you can do 2 more, that would be great. Rest if you need to, of course. So here comes the last circle on this side, and we're just going to bring the knee in and give it a hug. So let's change legs. So now this leg gets a rest and the other one comes up, and you can keep your scarf around your leg if you like, yeah? I would if you did on the other side. I'd do everything the same, equal on both sides. However, I'm just going to do it without, just as a demonstration for those of us maybe working without. So I've got my palms lifted. I'm going to take my leg, inhale, take my leg slightly across, down, round and up. So breathing out and breathing in. Breathing out, breathing in. 3 more in this direction if we can. And do you remember what I was saying about bending the knee? If you need to, just finishing up with a couple more, do it with a bent knee, but still keep the hips really steady by using your core, okay? Let's go the other way now. So you can keep the leg bent if you went for that, or with your scarf if you prefer. So we're going outwards, downwards, round and up. We're breathing out and we're breathing in. We've all got our cores engaged because we want to keep these hip bones so level. We could have a spirit level going from hip bone to hip bone, and we wouldn't alter the position of the bubble in the middle. I think we've just got 2 more to do, everybody. And then we'll bring that knee in. Good. So give that knee a nice big hug. Well done. Okay, so we're going to come onto our sides now. So if you'd like to roll over and face me, I'm going to come into the lateral hip opener, or the clam, first of all. Now you've got a couple of different positions you can adopt with the upper part of your body. You can have your arm supporting your ear here, so your head's resting on your arm, or I quite like doing this. What's also quite nice as well is if you've been using a little pad, you can pop that between your arm and your ear. And of course, if you've got any shoulder issues, your arm comes in front and you've got that pad supporting your head here. I'm going to go for the bent elbow. So bring your knees in and have your feet together, and you're going to keep this hip bone above that hip bone as now you do up your waistband. So you've done your belt one hole tighter and you've zipped up. So I prefer to do this with my feet lifted. However, if you'd rather keep your feet down on the ground, stay in this position. So I'm going to lift the top knee and exhale and inhale as I close. Breathe out through the mouth and breathe in through the nose. And I'm going to make every effort to keep my hips in this position. I don't want them to change position at all. Good. So we've done about 5 and we're going to do about 5 more if we can. So if you need to put the feet on the floor, do. Just pop them down and do the same thing. I prefer to keep my feet lifted. I find it's easier to control the hips actually in this position. So about 4 more times breathing out, and breathing in, breathing out, and breathing in. Good. Just one more. Okay, so as we lie back down, we're going to bring that top leg that was doing all the lifting and lowering to lie down on the ground in front of us. You can always put a little support under your knee if you feel you need to there. This leg down here lengthens out completely and it lifts, lower, lowers. Lifts, lower, lowers. Good. Lifts, lower, lowers. Lifts, lower, lowers. Lifts, lower, lower. Let's try and do 5 more. Keep the navel drawn to the spine and make the leg feel really long so it doesn't bend at the knee. It's like it's really reaching away from your hip joint with every lift that it makes. Good, and last one. Excellent, well done. Let's keep in this position and put a support underneath our head. So this is time for a block if you have one, or your little towel pad. And I'm just going to let this top arm rest its fingers inside my shoulder at the front hip of the chest. And I'm just going to circle and I'm going to let my head roll back so I can watch the movement of my elbow going back. So just rolling from side to side. And I'm going to go the other way, so I'm going to go back first and then come forwards, back and forwards. This knee's staying still. And just a couple more. Trying to get some movement into the upper back. You're feeling a bit of rotation in the spine. Good. So now let's go into some arm opening. So I'm going to bring my knees together. Just make a bit of space for myself. Head's on your support. It's good to have the head supported for this one. Tuck your bottom shoulder out of the way so it's not touching your earlobe. And keep your knees together. Always get that belt and tie them together with that if you like. So we're going to zip up the belly and draw in the navel, and we're going to open the arm back behind us. And then we're going to lift the arm up and close. So the arm's going straight up above the shoulder joint and it's going back towards the ground in line with the shoulder. This is how I'm going to breathe. I'm going to take a really deep breath in here, and as I draw in my navel, I'm going to breathe out and stretch back. Breathe in and breathe out. Head's rolling, just keeping my eyes fixed on those fingers there. Good. And we'll do one more. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Good. Let's all come up to sit now. Okay, we're going to do the Pilates roll up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make myself a substitute for a ball. I'm going to roll up my bigger blanket and put it behind me, behind where my hips are going to sit. And then I'm going to get these cushions and put them behind it so it doesn't go anywhere. The cushions hold it in place. We'll sit up. Now if your hips are very close to your rolled up towel or blanket, it will be slightly less challenging. But we can, as we progress, move those further back to get a little more effort out of this movement, if we like. So I'm just going to hold the back of my thighs to start, and I'm sitting really, really tall as I possibly can, lifting up through the chest, hip bones are lifted, and now I'm going to rock off my sit bones and just roll back until I can feel my spine is sitting into those supports behind me, and then I'm going to lift back up. Good, so it's a little bit like waves rolling on the beach. Good. Now, can I just say, for anyone who's got osteoporosis in the spine, it's not good to do too much flexing. So what I'd like you to do instead is stay holding your legs and hinge. Can you see I'm keeping my back in the same position? I'm just opening and closing my body at the hip joint. So it's quite strong, so you may find you don't go all that far back, and you might want to bring that rolled up blanket really in close. For those of us who are okay to flex the spine in this way, you might want to let your arms extend and then lift and then come forwards and up. And then we could take a little stretch. We could lengthen our legs out and reach forward. So we'll come back up and we'll roll back and we'll take the arms towards the ears. Do remember, you can stay doing this holding your legs. Now, if you want to progress, you can move this equipment a little bit further back. So you'll have to go further back to find it. So you're going back quite a long way, but I've not gone all the way to the floor yet. Zipping up down below, and lifting up, and stretching. And then where I'm going to go next is where some of you may already have gone with this one, into the full roll up. So if you feel you can come all the way up from the ground itself, then just clear your equipment to one side. And then we're just going to roll slowly back through the spine, zipping up that belly, of course, and then lifting the arms up, peeling off the ground. So take a breath and roll back. Take your arms back. Take a breath as your arms lift. Zip up your belly. Breathe out as you rise. And stretch. I'm going to do 2 more. So stay with your blankets if you'd rather behind you. Or come with me. Last one. And we're going to stay sitting up this time, everyone. Good. So let's just twizzle our legs around so that they're at the other end of the mat, and bring our equipment with us and lie on our fronts. So I'm just going to come into a modified swan dive here. I've got my arms on the floor, palms down, elbows in line with shoulders, and fingertips in line with elbows. So you look rather like a gull mouth. Yeah, that's the positioning. Down below, let the legs relax, toes are in line with the hip bones, and the pubic bone is slightly pressing into the ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to really activate the sides of my ribs, and as I breathe out, I'm going to stretch forward and lift up. And then I'm going to breathe in and I'm going to lengthen myself back down onto the ground. So I'm going to lengthen and lift on the out breath and breathe in as I come back down. So when I come up, I don't want to lift my chin in the air. I'm looking diagonally forwards and downwards. Breathing out, keeping the belly zipped up, keeping the navel drawn to the spine. And I'm going to do 4 more, and if you want to, float the arms and squeeze into your sides. And coming up, exhale, squeeze in, and another 2. With or without the arm squeeze. Last time. Let's roll and face each other. And just bring the knees in towards you and curl up into a little ball so you feel your back's getting a nice stretch. And then we'll go back into the clam, the lateral hip opener. So some of us stay down here and we put our little pad between our arm and ear. Some of us bent our elbow and we had both knees in front. Feet can be on the floor, alternatively feet can be lifted, as I like to do this. So zip up the belly and draw in the navel and breathe out, and breathe in. Exhale and inhale. We're going to do about 8 more. We're working into the hip rotator muscles with this one, so you might feel a little bit of warmth developing gradually into there. It's about 5 more. Keeping the hips really still, just a couple more times. Good. So this top leg is going into rest position in the front, and the bottom leg straight. It's in line with the rest of your body, and you can pop a little support under your knee if you like. So come on down with your head, and pop the pillow in if you like, and lift, lift, lower, lower. Really stretch the leg away and lift it up. So about 5 more if you can. Just check you're drawing your navel into your spine and you're making your leg feel really long as it moves away from you and lifts up. A couple more. Excellent. So let's stay in this position and just slightly alter things up here. Arm in front, and a little support like a block, blanket or a pillow under your head. Fingertips just resting inside the front of your shoulder by your chest and circling your elbow back. So it's a nice movement in the shoulder joint itself. Good to get lots of movement into that joint, but you're also feeling a little bit of rotation starting to build in the upper part of your back. Good. So let's go the other way. So just reverse what you've done and just check your head's got the idea of rolling forwards and backwards, nice and heavy, so your neck doesn't feel strained in any way. Good. So from there, let's bring the knees up. Okay. So both knees together, head supported, gap between the ear and the shoulder. Take a breath and breathe out as your arm reaches back towards the floor. So again, breathe in as you lift and exhale as you open. As I'm finding, it's really good to make sure you've got plenty of space around you. I seem to be having a fight with a radiator at the moment with this one, slightly cramping my style. So let's make sure we're keeping those knees together. We'll do 4 more. Open up on your out breath. Close on your in breath. Head's watching the fingers. And a couple more. And last one. And come back to the middle. Good. Let's come up to sit now. Bend our knees. I'm going to put my hands slightly down behind me and come into windscreen wipers. I'm just going to rock from side to side. Good. Just going to straighten out my right leg and bend my left leg. And this is where I might need a pillow to keep my leg in a comfortable position. And I could use my scarf if I wanted to just draw myself slightly down towards this leg over here. Well, this one rests in the open position. And I'm pressing my hips back and reaching forward through the middle of my chest. My hands are feeling quite strong because I'm gently drawing on that scarf, but I don't want my shoulders to feel at all tense when I do this. I'm trying to relax here as much as I can. And then I'm going to come with that. I'm just going to lift this knee up, and if you like, sit on a little pad. It helps you to sit tall. And you can either keep this leg in front of you, I'll show you slightly from the side, or you can cross over and we'll just turn into a seated twist. So we're very, very tall. We're drawing back this shoulder here, so this side of the chest can turn round, and we're looking slightly back behind us. And we're just drawing this leg slightly across and in towards us so that we can feel a nice stretch around here. Good, let's change legs. So this time we've got this leg over here bent, and we might want to pop something underneath if it feels a little bit too intense in the groin. I'm going to let that leg go, and then use your scarf, take a breath and breathe out and fold from your hips. Just try and let go with this leg as much as you can. So I'm really not trying to flex my spine, I'm not trying to round my back and get my forehead on my thigh. I'm trying to more feel like my chest is trying to stretch towards my big toe. And then when I breathe out here, I just soften in a little bit. Yeah, my tummy's sort of gradually creeping towards my thigh a little bit there. And over here, I'm trying to release as much as I can. Just take a calm breath. And then we'll breathe in and lift. Let's go into that twist again. So lift up the knee that you had bent there, and either keep your leg here, sit on a block if you want to, or a towel, whatever you've got, and cross over. That's optional. Then we're going to turn to look over the shoulders. We're going to hold the leg, put the hand down, and then lift up and breathe in, and then draw that shoulder back, and turn with the upper part of the back to look back behind us. Press the hip bones slightly forward and feel like they're lifting up a little bit. Lift up through the middle of your chest. And then if you could slightly draw this leg in a bit closer, that would be good, because we'll stretch down here a little bit more.